Alright, I'm here. Oh, make sure I sound amazing. I'm sure I do. Why don't I have any goddamn sound? Oh. Alright, there we go. I sound amazing. I think. Hold on. Let's find out. Oh, nope, I sound amazing. Alright. So, who's all in the chat? Not very many people in the chat yet. Still warming up, I guess. We're going to let the live stream warm up. So, anybody in the chat, all three of you, what was your favorite thing about last night's train wreck? I don't know what my favorite thing was. I mean, it was all gold. It was all gold. I got some people in Retic Pursuit super mad at me. We'll go over their comments and concerns here in a few. I just had a fucking text. Who's fucking texting me? So you say. Okay. Hey. Okay, Kristen. Hold on. Hold on, I'm almost done. There we go. All right, now I'm back. So I had aside from my internet and YouTube being a piece of shit last night, I had a pretty good time. I was goddamn live streaming for I don't even know how long. The first live stream I did was like an hour and fucking 40 minutes. And then I don't even know. Then I did two more because I started one, then had to restart it. I must have been live streaming for close to 4 hours, at least 3.5 hours yesterday. It was a long live streaming session. That's for sure. That is for sure. Where the hell's everybody at? Usually there's like 15 people in the first 5 minutes. What's going on? Is Garrett doing another fucking podcast? Why isn't there anybody on here? It's bullshit. I wonder if the people that are mad at me on Retic Pursuit are watching. So to recap yesterday, Garrett went on a podcast and it was basically there was this dumpster fire and then a train came and went off the tracks and then wrecked into the dumpster fire. So I think that's probably the quickest synopsis I could give on the triple threat Garrett's explanation of stuff. It was a train wreck dumpster fire, which I don't really care. I thought it was hilarious. I'll tell you the one thing though that's one thing that is legitimately bothering me about what his claims were with the TK lines. Now he's claiming that some TK lines are Kalatoa and some aren't. He's got them both, which I've never ever once in 10 years seen him advertise a TK as anything other than pure Kalatoa. Oh, is his claim of the 16 or the 6.20 and all these different lines. Now, what's going to happen is a bunch of people are going to watch that shit, and then all of us older breeders are going to get asked all these dumb ass questions about all, like, well, which line is this? And out of the 6 males and 20 females, which ones did he breed to which females? And which ones are pure? And which ones are Calatoas? And which ones are Medus? And which, dude, it's like, and which ones are Anery? And which, dude, I was like, all I heard when Garrett was telling that story was, unfortunately, there's going to be some people dumb enough to believe this story. And, secondly, I'm going to have to answer questions about it. And I don't want to do any of that. None of us do. Like, we're all so fucking sick of answering. I'm not attacking any new people. You can ask me, you can ask Eric, you can ask Andrew, you can ask any of us any questions you want. But like this TK shit, I'm wondering if we should take a vote and just and decide to call TK, like we will just collectively agree to call TK whatever Garrett and his fan club want to call it, just so we don't have to deal with this bullshit anymore. I think that might be best. So, I mean, I just really don't care anymore about this line, and Garrett just took it to a whole new level with the 6.20, and now he's working with both TKSD and TK Kalatoa. Yeah, dude, it's a fucking it's gonna be a nightmare. And here's what I want to know. How is anybody, if people take Garrett at his word, what are people going to do now? If there's no real background on what breedings were what, and Travis did what, and there's no proof. See, the problem is Garrett's claims last night, there's no proof of anything he said. Like, we can't come up with nobody can come up with any documentation on legitimate Kalatoa lines through Travis. Nobody has any invoices, no paperwork, and no one's ever seen it. There's no evidence that he had 6.20. He had something significantly less than that. And as far as the breeding research that Glenn did, I don't think Glenn could ever find any other breedings that were done with or came from offspring from the original Anery looking male. I'm not saying there weren't, but I don't think, I might be wrong on that, but I don't think Glenn or anybody was really able to track down anything other than that male or its offspring. Another ridiculous claim Garrett made last night, which I thought was absolutely hilarious, was on the original wild caught unknown SD line of Travis, that Travis was 4, 5, even 6 generations in. So let's do some math. And Garrett also said he quit breeding in 2013. So we're going to write down the 2013. Okay. And even if you bred them your first year, you get them and they immediately breed. So year one, like we'll say within the first 6 months, you have your F1s. Okay. So you're only 6 months in. This is like best case ridiculous scenario. Then you get a clutch, you raise them up 3.5 years. You breed that. Now you're at F2. So you're at F2 at 4 years, right? F2, 4 years. Okay, you raise them up, breed them 3.5 years. So you're F3 at 7.5 years, 7.5. Okay, so now you're at F4s. All right. Now you raise them up 3.5 years. So now your F5s are hitting at a year 11. Okay, year 11. All right, now let's go the whole way to 6. As Gary said, up to 6 generations. So now, another 3.5 years. So you're at 14.5 years. And he said Travis quit at 13.5 at 2013. So that puts Travis Cubis producing his first clutch of this not pure Kalatoa line in plus a year and a half, so that's 2000. What is that? 1998. 1998. Uh, that didn't happen. Okay, even if we drop it down to 5 generations, all right, and put this at what would that be? One and a half to 2002. That didn't happen. Travis didn't have his first clutch in 2002. Okay, that didn't fucking happen. I mean, it's just I don't understand how Garrett thinks he can go on and make up that ridiculous of a backstory and think people aren't going to make fun of him or call him out on it. Um, who posted this? Hold on here, honey. I saw this. See your point about this, however. Hold on. Yeah. So I posted a thing in Next Gen and Retic Pursuit today, and I'll read it. I'll read the Retic Pursuit one because the Retic Pursuit one I kind of toned down a little bit. I didn't. The Retic Pursuit one doesn't have the me taking shots at Shane, Jake, Brian Whitehead, Brian Watkins, and Triple Threat. It's more just on Garrett, and I don't even see it. Where's it at? Hold on, I gotta find it. It might got taken down because people were being mean. Okay, here it is. So this is what I said. I said Garrett has yet again changed the TK Kalatoa story. Last night was his most ridiculous story yet. Let's go through the timeline. Now this is just the timeline of Garrett talking about TKs. So this is like starts this like timeline starts like 10 years ago. Garrett claims TKs are the oldest, most established, best line of Kalatoas, which you can go watch his video on it. Retic Lounge does an episode with Glenn, and Glenn shows his research showing TKs are an unknown SD locality. Garrett plays it off and ignores everyone asking him about it, which he did. You should have seen the people in his comments, like, they gave him like $5,000, and like Garrett just ignored him. It was ridiculous. Retic Nation gets butt hurt because they like Travis and they keep calling them Kalatoas. The Retic community starts calling TK SDs, not Kalatoas. Then some more bullshit comes out. Garrett tells everyone on a live stream, this was like a year or two ago, that Travis had 6.12 wildcaught SDs, and the ones he has are pure Kalatoas with like paperwork and stuff, and ROR has the pure Kalatoa lines. I make fun of it because there's no evidence of that. Old breeders that have been to Travis's house say that he didn't have all those wild-caught Kalatoas. The Retic industry basically adopts TKs as SDs, not Kalatoas. And I also added in there that I didn't put it in on this one in Dax's group, but there's I take shots in Next Gen that the only people still calling at this point, this is like a year or two ago, probably 2 years ago, or maybe a little longer. At this point, the only people calling TKs Kalatoas are Garrett fanboys, Shane and Jake, Brian Watkins, Brian Whitehead, and basically now Triple Threat. That's it. Like the rest of everybody is just calling them Super Dwarfs, right? So then last night, we're to last night. Garrett takes it to a new level when asked about the TK bloodlines. Garrett now claims Travis had 6.20 wild-caught Super Dwarfs, some were Kalatoas, some weren't, and ROR is selling or working both with TK SDs and TK Kalatoas. He made that claim after almost 10 years of claiming TKs are the oldest, most established line in Kalatoas. And this is my question, this is my challenge to people reading this. Can someone show me a single time ROR in the last 10 years that ROR sold, labeled, or advertised a TK as just an SD and not a Kalatoa? This is going to cause a giant mess. Everyone that got a TK or Retic with TK blood, which I spelled blood wrong, nailed it, Rodney, in it from ROR will now have to go back to ROR and try and figure out which one of the imaginary lines of TKSDs Garrett sold them. Because now you're going to have to go back and be like, well, was this the TK line, or was this the Kalatoa TK, or is this the, now you're saying you have just the SD line, which you've never said that before, and you got all these crosses with TK blood, because a lot of his fucking morph shit has TK Kalatoa in it. So, and a lot of his cards all say Kalatoa. I said this is going to be an epic fucking mess. This is going to end the idea that there are any pure TK Kalatoas. This is going to have the exact opposite effect. And these are the videos.
So it was like 4, 5, and 6 generations captive bred and all this stuff. And the Kalatoa stuff, he had less of them. And some of them, like the ones that Paul got, were actually F1s. So.
Okay, so there's that. There's this one.
Interested in many of my animals. And I was kind of like, well, like I like some of the stuff if they're pretty, those old TK Superdors. We have both in my shop. I have pure TK Kalatoas and pure TK Superdors. I know it sounds really confusing.
Well, it is really confusing. You know why it's really confusing? Because he changes the story constantly. The more he gets questioned about it, the more the story becomes more ridiculous. And now there's 6.20, and there's all this shit going on. And nobody knew could possibly wrap their head around this train wreck, right? Like it's like nobody knew in Retix could possibly wrap their head around this train wreck of a fucking story that changes every 6 months to a year when Garrett gets questioned about it. And for some reason, it seems like Garrett can't keep his shit straight. But yeah, what was this? It seems like TKSD was acceptable to call them after the Retic Lounge video came out. Yeah, it was. And that's kind of like when it started. And like Shane was a holdout. Jake was a holdout because they like that fucking TK cock in their mouth. But other than that, I mean, everybody else was just kind of on board with it. And ever since Brian Watkins is now buddies with Garrett, like, and him and Brian Whitehead, like, so they're on that bullshit too. It's just I don't know. I just don't want the headache. I just don't want the headache of this. Did I get Celeste on there? What's up, Celeste? What's up, Darren? What's up, Billy Bob Smith Retix? So I don't know. I was actually amazed at Garrett's claim last night, and Joe Hall has been a staunch defender of TK line, and I've never once heard Garrett ever refer to any of his stuff other than pure. And now he's saying he has it. So okay. In my opinion, Bob and Will Banks are the ones that started the whole mess by not disclosing the islands when they first got imported. And, the thing was, like, that's another thing that's not totally true either, because, the import data was always there with Cameron, because, Jamps and Kai Waddies came in, like, in the fucking early mid-90s, and we had the data on that. So I think they just went and grabbed as many snakes from as many islands as they could and threw them in bags and shipped them over. Because Cameron always was very, very fucking, very, to the book on stuff, But no, I mean, I just think Garrett's creating such a mess. And the fact that, dude, Kalatoas and Meduse are the same fucking snake. Like, and that's the other thing that's driving me nuts. Okay, the TK stuff in the UK are indistinguishable from Meduse, which was the original comment made years ago. Well, one of the original comments made years ago was when Travis posted his male, and I was like, hey, that looks exactly like my Annery male, and like then posted a picture of it. So that didn't help. Yeah, I think Whitehead agreed that they were SD and not pure Kalatoa on the nation. Well, he's regurgitating what Garrett's saying now, because if you go back if you go back and watch their videos of me making fun of them, those short bus videos, they're just talking shit. Oh, it's pure, and Brian Watkins is on one of those videos saying it's bullshit, blah blah blah. So now Brian Watkins and Brian Whitehead are going to have to backtrack of what they're on video saying, that it's everybody's just causing drama and full of shit, and they're 100% pure Kalatoas. And now they got to repeat Garrett's lie, because Garrett's like, because I keep telling everybody there's like this evil axis of evil fucking villain, super villain team of retics getting together, and it's Garrett, Brian, triple threat. Lucas is trying to get in there, which I don't think Garrett will let Lucas in the mix, to be honest. Um, but and so they need Garrett to push out the bullshit, and then since nobody likes any of them, they need to push their snakes through triple threat, and they're kind of like there's this weird thing going on. Um, so, but yeah, I mean, I don't get it. Um, and these people are going to just have to keep changing their story. Um, Hold on one second. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's just yeah. Mark's got both put on pick next to the other in the same fucking animal visually. Yeah, yeah. I mean, dude, there's like, I have such a hard time telling Calatos and Medusa apart. The ones posted, and from the ones posted in Indo, because they're so close. Like you can tell them kind of apart here because the bloodlines look a little different because they're like so unique to that specific animal, the specific animals used. Isn't Medu like mile and a half away from Caledonia? Yeah, they could probably swim. Yeah, they could probably swim. It seems 100% of TKSDs can still be useful to create smaller morph crosses. Yeah, they all look great. It's not like this is the end of the world. The only reason any of this is a problem is because Garrett, if you go back and look at his old videos of like the best Calico ever, it was TK, and then he produced a bunch of them, and then he sold everybody them for like $5,000 or like $4,000 for a fucking single female. So that's where this mess came from. He as like the number one most legitimate established line of Kalatoa ended up, which I knew, that's how Glenn knew to look, was like the whole thing's like, dude, like the whole thing was like kind of, they didn't know what they were. They were calling them Jamps for years, and then they just settled on Kalatoa, and the male looks exactly like a Madu. So I don't know. But I read you my post, right? That was my post from my post from the Retic Pursuit, and here listen, like the Dick Riders come out. All right, listen to the Dick Riders. Here comes the Dick Riders. Fucking dick riding as hard as you can possibly ride a dick. Okay, so and people fucking go at me. Then I'm a bad guy when I say something back. So we got Zachariah Dunham or Dunham. Okay, so this is Zachariah. Let's get a good look at old Zachariah. Okay, so Zachariah, this is what uh he had to say. Now keep in mind, I just read you a timeline. I know I went off like on a tangent, but I read the timeline, right? So all I do is post a timeline and say, "Hey, can somebody show me evidence of Garrett ever saying his Calatos weren't pure, ever advertising them as not pure, or the TK Calatos, or ever saying he had just the super dwarf lines?" That's the whole point. He says, this is what Zachariah says. Quick look at your personal page tells us all we need to know. 9/11 didn't happen. The moon landing didn't happen. JFK was probably shot by someone else. Charlie Kirk was secretly killed by someone else. People are eating babies on Epstein Island, which that's just kind of fact now. Um, Believe one conspiracy and you have to believe them all. Garrett is just another conspiracy on the list. You should spend a lot. You sure spend a lot of your brain bandwidth on unproductive things. Imagine what you could produce or succeed at if all that brain bandwidth was put to something put towards something else. I just want to see awesome snakes being bred, loved, taken care of, and appreciated. That's why I'm here. Your constant posting of garbage has me wanting to leave. Does that seem a little kind of strange? So I immediately said, since everything he said had absolutely nothing to do with my question, I said all good points. I can't wait to make fun of this on a live stream. He said, he goes, enjoy that with your whole 50 views. I said it's more like 60. And then Mitch Connor tags Zachariah and says agree. So he's coming in. He's coming in with a hard agree. Um, oh, Dax deleted some comments. Um, and then Devin Doby. Devin Doby. If you guys don't know who Devin Doby is, this is Devin. Devin is the guy who I had to kick off of Next Gen because he kept starting fights. Devin Doby dick rides Don Munson. And Don Munson's the guy that was doing all that business with Samson, will do business with anybody that's shady, and let somebody get killed in his facility. But I'm the asshole. So he said he just started calling me names and stuff, and it looks like Dax deleted it. So Devin says, dude, you weird. You talk shit about all these groups, yet you stay in here posting. You weird as hell. I said, I think you're confusing me with somebody else. And Devin says, I know you're a fan of his. I don't know who he's talking about. I've seen some of your posts and comments about him, which is fine. I don't give a shit, but I don't think you should call anyone out for giving him the same treatment he's gives absolutely everyone else. That must have been to Zach. He goes, so here we go. So people are not allowed to talk shit about your page on other social media outlets, or they get banned if someone treats other people like shit elsewhere. They can still be here because you're friends. Now he's going at Dax. Well, I'm not breaking any rules. So Devin, see what Devin needs to do. He needs to get Don Munson's dick out of his mouth. And if you know that's the problem. That's like step one, Devin. Get Don's dick out of your mouth. And dude, and Devin, I'll tell you what. I'll make you a deal, buddy. If it will make you feel better, I will let you back into Next Gen. Just don't cause problems, dude. And I don't ever fucking throw people out. Like you have, you know how much of an asshole. Um, yeah, not you, different Devin. Do you know how much of an asshole you got to be for me to be like, all right, you guys kind of got to go. Let's start a GoFundMe to get Travis wherever he is at to come on your podcast and give his side of the story. Yeah, I don't know if that's he might be in jail. So, in your opinion, what be better for those who own TK Line to be better off just calling them super dwarfs? Dude, I don't know. Honest, Darren, I don't know because Garrett has muddied the fucking waters so much, and now he made a claim. You know, and he made this claim that that there's these animals were created out of a 6.20. So now everybody has to go and try to like figure out if any of that's true, what their lines are. And Garrett got himself in a big mess because Garrett claims he has both. So Garrett's going to have to show lineage of these animals. And everyone has a lot of pictures of the old stuff Travis had. So you can get pictures of the same male being called a Jamp, a Super Dwarf, and a Kalatoa. I mean, dude, it's going to be a giant mess. Where are you reading these comments at? It's on my post in Retic Pursuit. Okay, so this is what Zachariah is saying to Dax. I will let you know how I feel. A lot of us, I assume, have kids, careers, families to take care of, mortgages to pay. Jesus Christ, this Zachariah, he writes some motherfucking novels here. Take care of mortgages to pay, other things, and come here to have some positivity in our lives. Now, all I did was make a post stating Garrett's timeline and ask for some proof. And enjoy something that's a mutual interest, some casual and some deep into it. Sometimes debate and disagreements come up. Fine. What almost no one comes here for is to see another post from the same guy whining about the other same guy every other day in whatever form he can, from posts from posts here to links to live shows to essentially no one cares about or watches, that are probably recorded in his mom's basement. For someone to spend this much time focusing on someone else and constantly spamming it in here says more about his life than the rest of us. Well, what does I'm gonna give this a heart. I think that needs a heart. And I should send him a dick pic. Yeah, dude, this Zachariah, dude, he's on some anti-Rodney shit right now. Whew. So, at some point every time, I always get accused of living in my mom's basement. Like that is, dude, that's been going on for 15 years. I've been getting accused of living in my mom's basement. Um, okay, so that's what I'm not seeing too. Is there any more good Devin Dobie questions? Like, I know for a fact Devin is real close with what's his face, Don Munson. So that's most likely where Devin's animosity from me is coming from. It's coming via Don Munson, because Don Munson still hasn't apologized or taken responsibility for that time he let a girl in his facility unsupervised get killed by a snake. So, all right. So Amber Rambin, let's see what old Amber Rambin has to say. Hold on. Okay, so Amber Rambin. So this is Amber. I think she's that big-titted blonde chick that was just on Triple Threat. And as you can see here, got some side titties showing, doing the duck lips, while putting an apex predator on her face. So side titty, duck lips, apex predator on the face. So let's hear what words of wisdom she has to say, because, you know, when you do that, obviously we need to take you serious. So let's see what she has good to say. You really need to get a life. You are exactly what is wrong in the retic community. The endless drama and bashing other people from your basement, at least it's my basement, not my mom's, is really just disgusting. I'm embarrassed for you. I said, didn't you want to talk about any issues? And then I said, thanks for being embarrassed for me. It really means a lot. And Dylan Hewlett said, it's not concerning to you that the biggest name in Retics is lying about pure bloodlines? Crickets. Crickets from her. Then some other dude said, your podcast is dead, brother. 260 views is a reach. And I said, watch it so I get 261. Then Kevin Campbell said, at what point is somebody going to address the issue that Garrett has changed his story so many times over the last 10 fucking years about this one goddamn bloodline of retics? And not just like a little bit, like, no, it's there's this one line of TKs and they're pure Calatos. They're the most well-known and established to, well, okay, no, there might be some other lines, but we got the ones you can document, never showed any documentation, to Retic Lounge video with Glenn drops to yeah, no, ours are pure, but maybe other people have other lines, but no. And then like a year later, oh, he had 6.12, but we got the pure ones. To yesterday, yeah, no, we have both the non-pure, the pure ones. There was 6.20 animals. I worked with him in 2013 towards the end, and he has upwards of 6 generations, even though he quit breeding super dwarfs in 2013, which meant he would have had to been producing pure super dwarfs in the mid to late 90s. Doesn't make fucking sense. Nobody, these dick riding ass fucks don't want to even attempt to fucking tackle that ridiculous claim from Garrett. And it's like, I think this might just be like an emotional cognitive, like reaction, cognitive dissonance type situation where they get shown this evidence and they just want to hold on to it, that Garrett's like this awesome person who would not just every year or two make up a new story about the TK line. Yeah, it's like what but how am I the asshole? I'm just pointing out that Garrett's math doesn't make sense and there's no documentation for any of this. So Kevin Campbell says, another Rodney fan, just curious as to why the breeders in this community make it their sole mission in life to trash others in the hobby. Anybody. Is that the business model? Slander all the others that aren't your friends and try and gain business? And that duck face apex predator on the face check, she jumps on, right? It's insane. Okay, you know what's insane? Putting a potentially a snake that could do a massive amount of damage to your face, putting it on your face and going for the fucking internet. That's insane. Pointing out logical inconsistencies and putting out inconsistencies of data, empirical knowledge, and the fact that everything Garrett just said cannot be verified. That's rational. Doing this with a fucking snake on your face, that's insane. That's retarded. You're an idiot. All right, so then this is where it pops off. Well, I asked Kevin Campbell, I said, what in my post is slander? So then Zachariah to the rescue. That's what unsuccessful people do. Even if you think someone is scamming or lying, go do it better then. Not directed at you, talking to Kevin. No, Zach, buddy, we know, Zachariah, we know it was towards me. We know who you were taking shots at. So then Amber, side titty retic face, Amber, she posts, dude, and this is the best thing. Like, before I say what I'm about to say, I said in the live stream, I said the reason that I said this before the live stream happened. The reason the Triple Threat Garrett live stream is going to be so bad, if you go back and watch yesterday or the day before when I said it, because I don't remember when I said it, is because the people on that podcast, the triple tards, they actually believe Garrett. And in an attempt to help Garrett, they're going to fucking say, yeah, Garrett, show him what's up, prove him wrong, blah, blah, blah. And that's exactly what happened when Bill said, because if you watch me doing a reaction, I react to Bill saying, he's like, maybe you could explain the TK line. I'm like, oh shit, here it is. And that's what I was talking about. These people that believe Garrett are like, show him Garrett, because they honestly believe that like this guy walks on fucking water and he's just like diehard fucking, the truth, the way and the light when it comes to fucking retics. And the guy had nothing to do with most of this stuff before 2016. So I knew that the reason that it would be such a train wreck is because the people that have that podcast actually believe the shit coming out of Garrett's mouth. And they'd be like, yeah, Garrett, explain it to him. And when Bill said, oh, break down the TK line, I'm like, here we go. I knew it was going to be good. I didn't know it was going to be that good. But this Amber chick, in between taking duck face apex predators on her head selfies for the internet to tell her how amazing she is, in between, her busy schedule of that, she decides to help Garrett out. Great podcast with Triple Threat Retics and Garrett. I urge anyone following this BS to watch the entire thing so this information is not misconstrued. I said, could you explain how the information is being misconstrued? Obviously, no response to that. So, and that's just another example of somebody who full-heartedly backs, because she backs the Triple Tards, and they back Garrett. and this is just an example of somebody who thinks they're helping and they are making it worse. If the more people that watch this, I told, who was it? Was it Mason? Who was I talking today to? Mason, I know I called Rob because I called Rob. I was like, dude, did you get a call from Joe or did you watch that podcast last night? Because it was pretty bad. And I just gave him a heads up on what Garrett said, just so when the questions start coming in and people want explanations for all these bloodlines, he can he understands why the hell he's getting asked this shit. Um, you know, yeah, I mean, I think that's yeah, I think that's a good point. Um, but yeah, I honestly foresee them taking this podcast down. I think the people that bought ROR animals have no choice but to defend him because they will look stupid because of all the money they spent. So where do they go from here if all of this is just bullshit? Well, the question is, you know, when do they reach out? When do they reach out to Garrett and get an explanation of these bloodlines? See, and this is the mess Garrett got himself into with this podcast. Now everybody's going to need. Now that Garrett said, he also said at one point, like, hey, if you did get a TK line, somewhere else, I can't tell you that it's a Kalatoa. So he immediately just took a shit on everybody else working with TK Kalatoas but him, saying they might not be pures, but he's got the pures, but he's also got the other non-pures, which he's never said he's had before. So yeah, I mean, I, dude, the TK line, I told Andrew years ago, I was like, dude, you better get rid of that TK line. And Andrew actually listened to me. He was like, dude, this shit's going to turn into a mess. And I told Andrew that, I think I told him before the whole Glenn thing happened, because it's like, dude, like, they're writing a book, like, this is what's going to come out. They're going to find those, they're going to find out. I was like, it's going to be a giant mess. So, Andrew moved that shit out. So, what is this? Uh, oh, she's getting her info from Bill and the Podhead. Yeah, Bill the Podhead. Yeah, and that's a problem. When you get, you know, when you're the type of person doing duck face apex predators on your head, selfie side tits for the internet, um, I'm just gonna assume that you're dumb. So that's it. I'm just gonna go with you're dumb. Whew. So, but yeah, and I don't want to shit on these people too much. I don't want to make fun of Amber, Zachariah, or Devin too much, because one thing that tends to happen is a lot of the people that are very supportive of Garrett, that doesn't last. And a lot of a lot of the, like, the original Reach Out Reptile, like, fans, I talk to all of them now regularly, but they all fucking hated my guts. Like, people that did not like me 5 years ago, I talk to all those people now. Um, so I don't know, so I don't want to be too hard on these people, because give the duck face chick an example. She's getting her information, and I looked her up. She has a really nice setup, so you can't take that from her. But she's getting her information from Bill, who's getting his information from Garrett. So I mean, like, the chain of nonsense, coming into her life and thinking that's good information, to the point that she's going after me, and completely unwilling to address any of the issues or concerns that I raise. So I mean, that's just kind of, I mean, we're dealing with not the sharpest. So I don't even know what to think about some of this stuff sometimes. But yeah, yeah, it is what it is. What do we got here? What do we got in the chats? I'm slacking on the chats here because I'm just running. Yeah, you probably don't sell as many babies when you say my 75% SD is 15 foot. No, No, but you do sell a lot of babies when you make up a story about how in one or two generations you selectively bred in small genetics and out a large genetics. I've done that, but people don't like my side titty as much. Might check out Ozempic. There you go. There you go. I mean that's a fucking that's what we call a modern solution to modern problems right there. That's how we handle that. Oops, I already posted that one. Yeah, where are we at? What the hell did I not post? Oh, I didn't post this one. Okay. Yeah, go to ROR for a pure uh, TK for double the price. Yeah, and I don't even, TKs already came down drastically in price because people, and that's the other thing. Like the waters are getting so muddied by this that people don't know what to think, and the result of this, like the main result of last night, is going to be people are just going to be like, you know what, I don't want anything to do with, I don't, at least on the pure side, because TKs are great. TKs are great for breeding them to each other. They're also great for breeding them to other super dwarfs if you're going for a certain look, and they're good for doing morph breedings too. So that's what I kind of feel bad about. That they're kind of getting pushed off this, off the scene because of all the nonsense surrounding them. And it's not that they're bad snakes; it's just that Garrett marketed them in such a way that is caused this fucking chaos, and they've kind of been devalued by this overhype that was created by Garrett roughly 10 years ago. So I don't. I just don't want to see, I want to see the TK line continued, but I think people are going to have to filter through a lot of bullshit and come up with a legitimate answer to the question of, because the question now is Garrett's story true that there was actually 6.20 used to create bloodlines? Okay, so that's question one, and let's just say, for fun, we'll say that not necessarily that it's true because it's not, but that we'll consider the possibility of it being true. Okay, so what were the 6 males and what were the 20 females? What were the different breedings and which were which had paperwork, and do we have any pictures of these animals? Do we have any invoices for these animals? Do we have any proof of any clutches for these animals? And remember, this is the thing. Garrett made a claim that he has both. He has SD and he has Kalatoa. So he can only make that claim. That can only be a true claim if Garrett actually knows the lineage and has the data and proof that Travis took unknown localities, bred them together, and took Kalatoas with invoice and data and bred them together. So now Garrett is so dumb, he put himself in a position where he has to show his information and proof on both the unknown locality and the pure Kalatoa. And like, this is how dumb he is. This is how, I mean, the guy is just dumb. Dumb. I think the only way this can be resolved is by genetic testing. So once and for all, we can find out if Madu and Kalatoa are the same thing. And that's the problem. I think genetic testing is going to show they're the same fucking snake. If we really can't tell them apart, I mean, those snakes, if they're not genetically identical, they're goddamn 99.99% identical. And that's going to mean that there's going to be probably just as much genetic diversity from Kalatoas on the east coast in a cave on Kalatoa Island and the Kalatoas in a cave on the west coast of Kalatoa Island. There's probably going to be just as much genetic diversity as there is on between the Kalatoas on the south shore of Kalatoa Island and the Madus on the north shore of Madu Island. Like, I mean, they did with the studies that were done on frogs and monkeys on Sulawesi, because they're so cut off and it's such a weird ass shaped island and there's mountain ranges. They're so cut off from each other that they actually registered as subspecies and species, and they're the same thing on the same island. And if you look at Kendari retics, you look at Makassar or Bantaeng, Palapos, and over into the Palau central and Manado region, there's probably more genetic diversity between the retics from the different peninsulas of Sulawesi Island than there is between Karapa, Kalatoa, and Madu. I would bet money that there is more genetic diversity between a Bantaeng and a Manado than there and a Palapo than there is between a Kalatoa, Karapa, and Madu. I would literally bet my whole fucking collection on that. Yeah. Whew. So, what do we got here? We got Jake said he was friends with TK and he had one line. Yeah, dude, that's the thing. I think the original TK stuff all came from 1.2. If I remember correctly, it was actually 1.2 that everything came from. I'm not 100% on that. What is Jake's Klotz Vagina has something to say. Yeah, we used to beat our wives together. Oh, shit. Yeah. Yeah. What's this one? Hold on. It seems whenever you hear about people posting they have a 14, 15 foot, 100% TK super dwarf. See, some people are saying that, but I've never seen that snake. Like, I've heard about that snake, but I've never seen it. I know Metcalf had a really big TK that was like 11 feet or bigger, but I don't think anybody's ever seen this true 14, 15 footer um, that people talk about. Garrett said in one of his videos, like when all that like wife beater shit came out, it's like, I don't even know Travis, blah blah blah, never met the guy, blah blah blah. And I immediately posted a meme with it was a picture of him and Travis together. And then yesterday he's talking about how like him and Travis were working so close with all this stuff right before Travis got out. Garrett better pray I can't find that fucking video, because if I find that clip, the internet is going to be covered in a clip of Garrett saying, I've never met the guy, to yesterday's clip of, I didn't know him, and to fucking the picture of him and Travis together, and the video of him yesterday saying, like, we were doing all this stuff together. So TKs are definitely good looking and are small. Yeah, some of them, yeah, but they are not pure Kalatoa. Well, Ryan, apparently you don't know, but there was 6.20 used, and Garrett has the pure ones and the non-pure ones. And um dude, this is gonna be a fucking mess. The other mess that I'm in, and I'm in a mess because of this too, because a lot of the breedings that Sean did are with stuff from Garrett, and they're all labeled T fucking K, the morphs. So now I got to talk to Sean, and Sean's going to have to talk to Garrett to figure out were these TKs or were like what were these? Because these are morph crosses, so I couldn't care less what super dwarf they are. I couldn't care less. But if I need to label them as just super dwarf, then that's what we're gonna do. I mean, dude, Garrett is such a fucking asshole. Yeah, TKs. TKs do look. Two TKs do look pretty good. Some of them do. You know. So if I could find a 14-foot, I would breed it to a Sola. Yeah, and then you could just and then that way you by breeding it to a Sola you would get rid of all the big genes, because Sola plus Superdorf equals the immediate elimination of large genetics. So what does this say? Yeah, Rodney, your feed went dark. What, online? Never mind. I lied. It was my shit connection. I was gonna say it's looking fine on mine. Yeah, yeah. This is such a mess, and it is a mess because now I I tried to tell everybody when Garrett got kicked off Retic Nation it was going to be a big mess. And everyone's like, no, it's just a Retic group. I'm like, no, he got shunned by the last group of shady people. The shady crew shunned him. So like this is going to be a big deal, and it was. And then now with the claims of him having two different lines of TK, one being pure, one not, never announcing that prior in the last 10 years, and now no one knows if they're if they, because so many people have TK labels. Um, uh, I don't know what people are gonna do. You know, yeah, I mean, I knew this was eventually gonna come out to be a giant problem. I just didn't anticipate it being this week. 100%, I would sell them to the purse retic people. Yep, there you go. They love them. Oh fuck. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you guys think is the answer here? That's kind of what I've been bitching long enough. Oh, before I ask you guys what do you think we should do? I want to talk about my favorite part. Uh, I want to talk about my favorite part of last night's um, podcast, and that was when Garrett explained why he spells names wrong. Uh, I was laughing trying to explain that to Rob today, and like Rob, Rob's so nice. He doesn't really say much, but I was like you got to watch it. It was 20 or 30 minutes of Garrett when Garrett was like, why there, the name spelling came up, and he was like, well, you see, I have old maps. Okay, that makes zero sense. All right, so get a new map. You know, okay, that's step one. And then he went into what was he talking about? Like, well, people that don't do this professionally, they're more interested in arguing, and so they might come home from work and they want to engage in the community with some drama. So they make a big deal about spelling, and because they're not professional breeders. I can't think of anything more unprofessional than intentionally spelling names wrong of your snakes. And dude, and he went on for like 20 or 30 minutes, and it was the dumbest, disconnected response I've ever seen to a question in my life. If somebody said, why do you spell the word phone wrong? And you said, well, here's the thing. People that don't work for Verizon are just hobbyists when it comes to using phones, and I'm a professional phone guy, and I have like old maps and old books that spelled phone the way I spell it, and I want to pay homage to that, and I'm not in the drama. And since I'm not in the drama, that's why I spell Kalatoa with one O, and Solaire with what is it? Two E's instead of two A's. Uh, and Tambalongan with an O instead of an A, because I'm not into drama, and hobbyists are, and they want to do something after work. That is the weirdest response to why do you spell names wrong, possibly in human history. I cannot, if anybody has a video or documentation of somebody being asked why they intentionally spell words wrong, and they say it's because they have old maps, they don't participate in drama, and people that are hobbyists and not doing something professional like drama and want to talk about and argue about it on the internet. I mean, if you can find something more ridiculous than that, let me know and I will give you $500 credit towards an animal. If you can find me a response that makes even less sense than Garrett's explanation for why he doesn't spell island names right, I will give you $500 credit towards something. Like no problem. Yeah. So I mean that was, I don't know, completely ridiculous. All right, I got to get some comments up here. Your mom said the basement is too loud. Keep the cats in line. Turn down the mic. I try. I'll try. What do we got here? That's an importer spelled it that way too, and don't want to correct the spelling for respect of the importer. That also doesn't make any sense. Like if you think about that, um, yeah, like typos. And he, dude, you know what was so funny? He was like, "Well, look at Medusa. Look at Medusa. Like we used to call him Honey Island. What's that? Medu in Indo means honey." And I explained that to everybody 15 years ago when I asked Paul Ryan Drummersteak, why are these called Honey Islands? And he said, because he said Medu equal sign honey. I looked it up. Palau Madu. That translate honey island in English. Honey Island in English. And he's like, we called them Honey Islands. Like, what's that? That's the English translation, you fucking retard. What is this? Did I miss the censorship because my fucking shit went out and I didn't catch all of it. You know, I have to go back. Like, it's so bad that I want to see if Spencer wants to sit down and do an hour and 40 minute fucking, well, it'd be like 4 hours breakdown video on it. Best bit was the censorship, all the blast comments could be seen live, then they disappeared. Yeah, and I have all that shit recorded because my Riverside records everything. Yeah, you can't make this up. 500 per example. Yeah, I'll tell you what, I will give you 500 per example, Noah. You can take, yeah, so you got a big bill. So for every example you can find that's more ridiculous than Garrett's explanation for why he spells words wrong, you can take $500 off your bill. Good luck on finding a single example of someone saying I spell words wrong because I'm paying homage to people who spelled them wrong. I have Magellan's maps, and I shouldn't be bullied into spelling them right by non-professional hobbyists that want to argue on the internet. If you can find if you can find a more ridiculous explanation than that, you can take, yeah, as many as you want. Bring them on in. Bring them on in. So I like that better than Madu. Yeah, fucking. Yeah, Garrett was literally using the Chewbacca defense last night to defend his spelling. Dude, I couldn't even. I tried to like watch some of it again. I was like, man, I can't like. I gotta. That's such a bad podcast. I'm gonna have to be in the mood to actually watch it. You know, I'm gonna have to be like, you know what? I'm in the mood for just straight nonsense. So I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you guys think I should do about Zachariah, Amber, and Devin? Because they're really mad at me. They're really mad at me. I mean, they didn't want to address any of the issues. Um, big surprise. Big surprise. They didn't want to address any of the issues. But I also don't want to be too mean to these people because sooner or later they're going to figure out that uh, they're not getting the highest quality information. So, I mean, I don't. That shit happened a lot with Samson. A lot of people got burnt. Hold on. Hold on. What is going on with that one? Hold on. Damn. Yeah, somebody sent me some videos. What the fuck is going on there? That's an interesting snake. Okay, I'm back. Alright, I'm back. Um, I don't know. Oh, just live rent free in their heads. Yeah. Ebonics. Yeah. Wait, what? Hold on, hold on. He backed out with Weston? Are you serious? No. Did he really? He didn't back out with Weston. He's not that dumb, is he? No. No, no, I don't think he did. I read that as a statement, not a question. Sorry. No, supposedly that's still going on, which I think Weston's kind of a dick for doing it. I'm going to be honest because Weston is such a fucking attention whore that he's like, "Oh, Garrett's got a big following. I can do this and it'll get me likes and then fucking I can jack off to my likes." Um, so I think that's kind of fucked up that he's even like letting like he's going to turn this into like Garrett's going to make money off this. Like Weston's going to make Garrett money, and Garrett's going to get Weston views on social media, which for some reason seems to be very, very important to Weston. So, oh shit, I got a lot of comments coming in. I'm trying to get to them. They come in at a different rate versus what comes through my chat through Riverside versus what comes through my chat through uh fucking YouTube is like totally different. Like all the vulgar and inappropriate ones I still get through Riverside. So that is fantastic. Okay, hold on. Where are we at? Oh shit. He is. He is making excuses. Yeah, I kind of figured he would. Do you like Paul, let's be honest. How dumb of a move would that be? Like how dumb? Like I like Garrett. I always underestimate Garrett's ability to make bad decisions. I said there's no way he's going to respond to the Retic Nation shit, and he makes that fucking epic video that was a disaster, and then he goes on a podcast last night and makes up a even more ridiculous story about TK, and like I mean to give Weston those snakes. I mean Weston shouldn't even do it because it'll just make Garrett money like for a year for like about a year. And then but and even if Weston does do this, uh Garrett will turn it against Weston and make Weston look like a bad guy. He'll be like Weston was overfeeding him. Like these snakes are growing so quick that it's animal abuse. Like I guarantee the only way he'll be able to get out of it is if the snakes get bigger than he says they will. Is be like, well, this is animal abuse. This is an appropriate way to feed snakes. So yeah, are these people in next gen? No, this is in Retic Pursuit. Next gen is really more for like next gen is really this isn't a knock on Retic Pursuit. I think it's a great group. But that's more for like newer people where next gen is more very selective breeding focused, very locality focused. It's a different group. It is a very different group. So so no, like and I don't know why that Devin Dobie was even in there to begin with. Okay, let's let Devin in, make memes about Zachariah, and offer to help Amber start her OnlyFans. I'd help her start an OnlyFans. Yeah, she's got a big social media following. I think me and her could team up and make some money. Yeah, invite them on the podcast to explain why you're wrong. They can't. They won't even explain why. They can come on for. I'll tell them. maybe next week if there's some of this shit still going on, I'll be like, hey, whatever Wednesday, if anybody wants to come on and talk, they can. Dude, that Devin Dobie guy was fucking threatening me and shit the one time, so I called him on live stream. He's like, I better not know where you live, so I called him. I was like, here's my address, fuckface. Yeah, come to PA, come to a stand your ground state, dude. Let me know how well that works out for you. Yeah, he is. He's making excuses for. Yeah, no, there's no way. Garrett would have to completely have lost his mind to go forward with that shit with Weston. Blood eggs are doing great. The two bloody eggs, the snakes came out and they smelled like shit. They smelled like rotten fucking blood. And I have a video that I forgot to post. And I can't tell if they're darker or they're just like dyed from this like slightly dyed red from sitting in blood. Like I have no idea what that was, to be honest. Okay. Okay, there's no way he could survive after growing that snake. Everyone will know the size claims are baseless. Yeah. Yeah, no, Garrett would absolutely be out of his mind. Like I'm just hoping that I can make a big enough scene about this now that I don't have to spend the next year and a half answering questions about these imaginary 6.20 wild caught Kalatoas that were all interbred and created 47,000 different lines. And people are going to ask me about them, ask Eric Lee about them, ask Andrew about them, ask like. I'm just hoping that I can make a big enough scene now that I can save us all hours upon hours of answering questions about these imaginary lines of snakes. I don't think you are seeing the retweet. Yeah, well, I didn't because they weren't coming through. I'm not getting some of the messages. There's so many messages coming through on YouTube. They're not keeping up. But I actually switched over here to my uh, Riverside, and they're coming through better on here. So I'm just now seeing Paul's stuff. What is? I spelled them wrong because I translated the island from Indo to Chinese to German to English, and that's how I spell it now. Do I win? Yep. No, dude, that still doesn't make that still makes more sense than saying that you have Magellan's maps and hobbyists aren't professional and they want to argue on the internet. Like that's your explanation for why you don't have the second O in Kalatoa or the technically the first O in Kalatoa. Like that's not even close, Brian. You got to try a little harder. You got to try a little harder, buddy. Could you point me in the why didn't that show up? Could you point me in the right direction to read about retics coloring up as you would said about the GC? Or could you elaborate on what you mean? Is there just much variation in them? It's more. No, what happens is like platies and sunfires, they as the snake grows, their color kind of comes in and they get brighter and or lighter. So that's actually what you're seeing with that snake. Uh, Ryan wants to know, is he really backing out? I mean, he would have to be an idiot not to back out. It would be catastrophic for his entire bullshit lies. Yes, yeah, it really would. The snake should have been shipped weeks ago. Oh my. Devin wants to know what kind of GC you have, Noah. It appears to be a GC Sun or GC Sun Platy. I'm not too sure, but Noah has the answer to that question. I do not. I do not have the answer to that question. So, but I'm at 75 minutes. If anybody, yeah, dude, like half the shit's not coming through in the fucking YouTube chat, and it's all coming through on Riverside. So I'm glad the Riverside secondary chatting works better than YouTube's. That's fucking some high quality right there for YouTube. Not just as they grow, though. I've got a sunfire that will be almost a burnt orange snake some days and pale green and yellow others. Yeah, they do kind of, firing up and firing down with some of those color morphs. They definitely can have a different look. I have my turn 8 sun head Indo, it's like it depends on what angle you look at it. It either looks green, orange, or red. So yeah, yeah, sunfires are usually pretty dark too. So I don't know if there's any other shit you guys want to talk. Feel free. This talked into shit talk. I usually don't do shit on Friday anyways, but with the level of chaos from yesterday, I figured I'd come on here and run my mouth. And I also wanted a chance to talk about the people giving me shit on fucking Retic Pursuit because they really hurt my feelings and they called me names and all I do is be nice to everybody. So I thought you guys needed to be warned that you can be the nicest guy in the world in the Retic community like me, and then these people come out of the woodwork to try to tear you down. It's just so unacceptable. So I don't know. I'm gonna look up that Amber chick. Maybe she does have an OnlyFans or something. We can check that out. Go from there. So, but all right. What's the most drastic color shift in localities you work with? That would hands down be. I've had some turnates that have hatched out pretty light and then gotten basically as dark as a Halma. I would have to say that's definitely the craziest ones. Um, I mean, I've had some snakes that had like light silver and then fucking turned into like basically Halma darkness. So yeah. Okay, we got another one here. Okay, so hold on. Okay, so that snake has to have one of those DOMs traits. I'm concerned that the breeding to a tribal thoughts could make it look good. Yeah, no, tribal will be fine. You like a tribal will be fine to breed that too because you'll get a big mix of stuff, man. You'll get tribals, you'll get normals. I think that's a sun. To be honest, I think that's a sun. I can't tell. I'm not up on that stuff. Like I'm up more on uh I'm up on localities than I am morphs. Retic Pursuit rookies love to toss shade. Yeah, they do. And I just think it's funny they toss shade at me. Like these are new people that don't know like how ridiculous I can be, and they're coming at me, and I'm just being nice because it's on Dax page, dude. If those motherfuckers come over to next gen, like they will show themselves out. They will get beat up so bad on next gen. So coca to cream, yellow, orange, green in between, unless that sounds crazy. Yeah, dude. My Turnate sun changes colors all the time. Yeah, I'll get you that link. I'll get you that link, Loa. Noah. Ugh, choking on my own tongue here. You are a model citizen, but I'm still not letting you back on, in the nation because I like being the popular girl. Jake's vagina. I understand, dude. No hard feelings. You want to be the prettiest belle at the ball, so you can't have this taking away your crown, taking away your tiara. So I get it, dude. I get it. I understand. So I've been on here an hour and 19 minutes just talking shit. So I'm going to jump off here. Um, I want to turn 8 fire. Dude, Paul, I got you on the list. I got you on the list. You're on the list of people. You're officially on the list, 100%. You need to tell me what look you want. If you want one of these fucking Aztec fixers, we can do that because they're not crazy. They're not like crazy outrageous prices like well, the fucking Apocalyptos aren't crazy outrageous. They're just more. So, but no, you're on the list, and I'm gonna go get something to eat, and I don't know. If you guys are bored, we can talk shit tomorrow too, and maybe Spencer. I think Spencer wants to do another Samson Van video, so we're probably gonna do some Samson Van videos, maybe Saturday or Sunday. So not 100% sure, but all right. Thanks for hanging out, and yeah, me and AI roll the roost. We know Jay Klotz vagina. We know. We know you are the Chat GPT master of the Retic community.